Hey there guys, my name is Bradrenalin, aka the Alone in Snorlax, and today bringing you a Snorlax competitive guide. I've used probably every viable Snorlax moveset by now, and I get asked a lot like which is better, which is the best, why don't I use Pulverizing Pancake, Belly Drum Z, like how does it work? You know, I get asked a lot of these questions naturally because it being, you know, like the mascot of my channel. So I wrote up some notes just to quickly reference. I also made all of the sets. I'll have all of these movesets in a paste bin or a text file of some sorts in the description, so you can kind of take these and pick the one you want to use, or just use them all, you know. Of course, we'll start off with Pulverizing Pancake and why I don't use it. First of all, it's a unique Z move. It's normal type, it's 210 base power, and it uses Giga Impact. That's mandatory, so to use this effectively in a moveset, you'll need one like you can see on the screen. You'll need 4 attacks. You don't need it, but you can use like a wish support. I quite like this moveset for things like Z Memento and Wish on another Pokemon in singles. It has some, you can get some value out of this moveset for sure. Thick Fat makes you naturally tanky against some of your weaknesses. Thick Fat's a really good ability, and you can see we're not too invested in defenses because we want to hit hard with the Giga Impact Z move. You can choose not to run Return, but I think that you need 2 normal moves, one for the Z move, and then Return, which is 102 base at max friendship, for the stab without locking yourself into, you know, recharge for Giga Impact. And then we have Coverage, Crunch and Earthquake. Gives you some of the best coverage in the game outside of, I think Skarmory, but of course you can make that rest, you can make him roost, and then predict with the Earthquake, or he could just whirlwind you out, which happens to a lot of these Belly Drum sets, which we'll be going over shortly. But the other option we have with Z Crystals, in my opinion, is the normal Z Crystal. We can choose to run Giga Impact, which is 200 base power, so that's 10 less than Pulverizing Pancake, or we can just run another coverage move, so we could run Heavy Slam for things like Mimikyu, or we could run Crunch again. It's entirely up to you. Belly Drum is there. Z Belly Drum, it puts you up to full health before you lose the health. So if you switch into something, or you know, something along those lines, you're less health when you go to Belly Drum. It'll put you to full, and then your Belly Drum be back down to half. Works quite well in a Trick Room team. And of course, you have access to these two as your stab. I would only recommend using the normal Z Crystal if you're having Giga Impact and Belly Drum. But this is the first of many of these EV spreads where we go quite defensive, because obviously we have Belly Drum. When we get to +6 attack, when we're maximized, it means that our attack is ×4. So realistically, if we took all these out a sec, 130 times 4 is 520. If we maximize that, it would go up to 160, which is 640, sorry, so isn't the biggest increase, and we're also a lot easier to take down. Snorlax is very specially defensive, so we can kind of turn it into like a pseudo wall. I mean, it is a wall, but you know, it's also very strong. It's very hard to take down unless you have things like close combat or superpower. Those are really the only threats to Snorlax in this gen before the Pokebank, but yeah, that's almost upon us. So those are the Z movesets that I would suggest using. You can use some other ones, like if you want to try them out, but I don't really like them either, because obviously we have Gluttony. I get told this a lot, like I get asked a lot, why don't I use Figgy with Gluttony and Recycle? Now this moveset is great. You can't really be moved. We go Belly Drum, Recycle, Return and coverage move. Earthquake is the most consistent, but you could also go Crunch. And you just can't be moved. Again, we don't invest into attack outside of the 4 EVs because we're already quadrupling our attack with Belly Drum. And if Figgy Berry puts us practically at half, and then we can just click Recycle. We're a lot like Drampa in that we have so much special defense and a lot of power that we just can't be taken out. But of course we have our weaknesses in physical damage, mainly things like fighting type moves. And you can also be whirlwinded out, so you will have to look out for things like Skarmory, which I'm pretty sure +6 takes like 80% from a return if it's not physically defensive. And again, it's mind games to try and get the Earthquake if it isn't going to Whirlwind, if it's going to Roost instead. So very dangerous to play around if you value your Belly Drum, if you value it, sorry. But the cool thing about this set is because you have Recycle, you can come in later on and your Belly Drum isn't inherently wasted. This is probably the most successful out of the Belly Drum sets, but because we're not running Immunity, it is privy to being stalled out by things like Toxic, and you can get burned and other things because of the lack of Lumberry. So it does have weaknesses. All these sets aren't perfect, but they're still fun to use. The moveset that I use the most is the Immunity set with Citrus Berry. This is basically the, I want to get started now. I want to Belly Drum in their face, and I just want to click moves. I just want to go. I don't want to recycle. I want to kind of bluff the Gluttony a little bit just by having Citrus. They might think, oh, I'm running something else, and then they might go to Toxic me with the Immunity and then doesn't work, or I could just start smacking away because obviously it's an ultimatum. When you Belly Drum, your opponent immediately goes, how do I get rid of this? How do I get this monster off the field? So in this set, I go for the attack just to be as powerful as possible. We're adamant, max attack EVs, and it just, you can run again Heavy Slam with Crunch, and it's so good. Like, I really think this is effective. It's not as immovable as the Recyclable set, but it has its place. The main thing that I like about this set is that it's so easy to use in Trick Room. So you can set up the Trick Room and then, for example, Z Memento, or switch out into Snorlax, into a bulky Snorlax. You can Belly Drum, and then you can just start attacking straight away. You've got your Citrus Berry or your Figgy Berry, and you're ready to go. You don't need to recycle. You can kind of do the same with this, you know, recycle after the Trick Room is gone, or when you need to, but yeah, it's very quick to get going, and it's very quick to get value out of this moveset. A moveset I don't like using, because it's kind of the opposite, is the Snorlax set. It just turns games into very stally games. I remember a game in UU in Oras on Pokemon Showdown. We went into like an 80-turn battle because I had a Snorlax and they had a Crocoon, the Calm Rest, you know, the Calm Rest Suicune moveset, that one. So we were both just stuck and we just couldn't kill each other. And I think, to be honest, I just went AFK. I was just done. I couldn't be bothered. So yeah, the EVs are kind of, they're not overly specific, but you take a little bit in defense just because you're lacking, and then obviously when you start to curse up a bit, you do get some defenses. You go Careful Nature and a lot into special defense, and then max out the HP stat just for obvious reasons. You get as much as you can, and you only have return. You curse, you rest, and make use of the Sleep Talk, which every 2 turns you wake up from, and then you just click return or curse or rest again, depending on what's happening. So very slow burning moveset. Like I said, I think it changes the tempo too much and it's quite boring to use, but it is viable for sure. It's just whether you want to use it or not. And the final moveset is the doubles VGC thing. A lot of people have told me actually that they're starting to see Snorlax in VGC. This meta, basically, to take out all of the Trick Room stuff. There's a lot of Trick Room strategies going around right now. You've got like Muck and Golem. Torkoal's not really the flavour right now, but you have all of these slow Pokemon, you know, with supports like Oranguru, Comfey, Porygon 2, Clefairy, and they're good, but Snorlax is better. If you let a Snorlax Belly Drum with access to Earthquake, Rock Slide, then you're in trouble. So the supports I mentioned, especially Comfey and Clefairy, they will keep Snorlax alive long enough to get value. So you can get maybe all 4 Mons, but at least 2 Mons just by Earthquake or Rock Sliding once you're +6. And you have all these support options and late game sweep options that he's really, really good. So I'm quite happy to see people using him. Anyway, that is every moveset that I think is viable for Snorlax in this and the Pokebank meta coming soon. Hopefully you enjoy this video. I won't be doing too many more of these because obviously it's not really my area of expertise to glorify Pokemon in such a way. I play a lot of Pokemon, but not to a professional standard like someone like Wolfie. I also don't have nearly as much experience as someone like Pokeaim in Pokemon Showdown, because I take a lot of, time away from stuff, whereas these players are much more consistent. So you may want to ask them to do like follow-up videos. They might agree with me, they might reference my video, which would be awesome in itself. But anyway, that is going to be all the time we have for this video, so thank you all so much for watching, and maybe I will see you again soon.